Good morning. This is Ganero Rutedemo coming your way again. It's a lovely morning where I am, and I'm enjoying the breeze outside my place. Today, I want to talk to us about the word prejudice. A lot of us are familiar with the word. If you are not, I believe you have heard of the word bias. Bias is a brother word. So I'll be using the bias and prejudice interchangeably in the course of this conversation. I looked up the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and this is what I found about prejudice. 1. Prejudice is preconceived judgment or opinion. 2. An adverse opinion or leaning formed without just grounds or sufficient knowledge. 3. An irrational attitude of hostility directed against an individual, a group, a race, or their supposed characteristics. I once studied when I was in school in my university days. I did philosophy, and it was a course I hated so much, but I learned something. Every person, there's no completely objective person. No one is completely free of bias. However, we all have the ability to be fair. I mean, it's something that is I'll say it's an inborn trait. It's an inborn ability. That's the reason why we have a deep-seated need to be treated fairly, and when people are unfair to us, it hurts us. And being fair is a duty that we owe to everybody we come across. Just as people owe it to you to be fair to you, you also owe it to others to be fair to them. Prejudice, biases hamper with your ability to be fair. And not only that, when we counsel people, or when people counsel us to be careful not to harbor prejudices against other people, we are told that it's because being prejudiced harms others. But it doesn't just harm others, it harms you who has such prejudices. If anything, it harms you even more than the person you have prejudices against. And let's talk about the problems. Now, obvious fact: you cannot be fair towards somebody that you are biased against. Before I continue, I'd like to share with you something that guides my life, a belief that guides my life. There's this thing I say is that people are people because they are people. And what do I mean? People are good or bad. People display positive traits and negative traits because of who they are as people, not because of anything external to them. Things like their race, their tribe, their religion, their profession, or whatever. People are people because they are people, and that is a fact. Now, prejudices take up different forms: racial, racial, ethnic, religious, different forms, and they hamper with our ability to enjoy life, whether I like it or not. For instance, we say things like Yoruba people are dirty, Igbo people are money grabbing people, Calabar girls are promiscuous, and all such things. We hear of the word stereotypes. Stereotypes are born of prejudices. They are born of prejudices. And one very important mark of prejudice is it's irrational. It doesn't make sense. It's not true. It's not objective. Now, you may meet three Yoruba people who turn out to be very dirty. Their being dirty has nothing to do with their being Yoruba. Their being dirty is because of who they are as people, as persons, in their own persons. Being dirty cuts across all cultures, traditions, nationalities, races. People are dirty because they are dirty people, not because of where they come from. It doesn't make sense to label people because of things that they have no control over. People don't have you don't have a control over where you come from. You don't have control over your tribe. You don't have control over the family you are born in. Now, speaking about prejudices, I said they hamper your ability to enjoy life. And they are talking about the fact that you can never be fair to the object of your bias. One other thing too that being prejudiced does is you never get to meet people. Now, what do I mean? A prejudice is a preconceived judgment or opinion. Remember, preconceived judgment or opinion. Now, a lot of times when we meet people, when we meet people, sometimes conflicts arise, or maybe we are not able to relate with each other. The problem is that our prejudices are actually standing in the way. We are not really dealing with that person. We are dealing with our own irrational perception of who or our irrational perception of who they are or what we think they are. I said being prejudiced does not help you. You never get to meet people. You may be standing before the nicest, sweetest person ever, but your prejudices, your hang-ups about the person can get in the way. It's like somebody who puts bitter leaf in his mouth, for instance. You put bitter leaf in your mouth, maybe you chew it raw, and then when you finish chewing it raw, they bring food before you, and then you put the food in your mouth and spit it out and say the thing is bad. The problem is not the food is not the problem. Your palate is the problem. Your palate is what has prevented you from enjoying that delicious meal. Your palate that has been destroyed by the bitter leaf you ate is the problem. Now, sometimes prejudices can actually sometimes you may say it is na your own you dey talk o, you are saying your own. Some of my prejudices about people have been proved right. I mean, people have turned out to be this way, they've turned out in this negative manner just as I judged them to be. Let me tell you what the problem is half the time. Let's say, for example, there's a particular girl that comes to maybe your school or whatever. Let's say, for instance, maybe it is a group of coppers. She's a lawyer. I use this example because it's something I am familiar with. And a lot of people have ideas about lawyers. They say all lawyers are proud, lawyers are talkative, lawyers are this and that. And let's say you have that kind of idea towards people who read that particular course. And now this girl walks into your gathering, you don't like her. Now, if there's anything I have learned, is that hostility stinks. And when something smells, we instinctively remove our nose from that place. If something is smelling, don't go to you. That's what happens. Now, hostility, whether overt or subtle, will always stink. Now, the way you feel about a person will inform the way you will treat them. Now, you've not met this girl in a real sense of the word. She has not even opened her mouth, but already you don't like her because of the course she read in school. And so what happens? It will influence the way you treat her. You may not say anything to her, but there's this hostile reserve. There's this hostile atmosphere emanating from you. And she's going to sense it. She may not know you don't like her. She may not understand what the problem is, but she just knows something is off. And what happens? She comes into your midst and then she will stay on her own, and then you say, see we talk am, they know they like follow people talk. They are very proud people. When the truth is that she's most probably reacting to the hostility coming from your corner like a bad smell. Prejudices hamper our ability to enjoy people, to enjoy life. You cannot enjoy life when you are loaded with preconceived nonsense notions about people. You judge people guilty even before they open their mouth, and it hurts you because you don't know if the person you are standing before is a gift to you. People are what make our lives, are part of what make our lives beautiful. And being biased stands in the way of our enjoyment of people. Now, you see, we've talked a lot about biases and we have come to discover that being biased actually doesn't help you. It's like being in a prison built by your own self. Somebody once made a statement that it's hard to recognize the walls of your prison when the cell is made of glass. It's hard to realize that your prejudices are imprisoning you because this prison is of your own making. How are you helped by your prejudice? How are you helped? You can see it doesn't help you in any way. And then I like to remind you of something. You cannot live a productive life without the use of your mind. And being prejudiced hampers with the use of your mind. It is not rational to think that somebody is dirty because of where they come from. It is not rational to say somebody is proud because of a course they read in school. It is not rational to judge people by factors over which they have little or no control. People are people because they are people. That's just the truth. So look back in your relationships, look back at your life. Could it be that some of these conflicts that you have people, with the people that you come in contact with, or some of the people, are not conflicts with them, but conflicts with your own idea about what you think they are or should be because of where they came from or something? And I hope with what I've said, you'll be able to look back at your life, you'll be able to look back at your relationships with people and think and make amends and enjoy life to the fullest. Remember, nobody does anything or says anything because of any reason external to themselves. People are people because they are people. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.